The world called the events which took place in the South Caucasus in the end of the 20th century the Armenian-Azerbaijani conflict. In reality, it was a war having overstepped all boundaries of conflict. If killing 20,000 people by bullets and gunshots was not a war, then what was it? The Karabakh War has an old history. The Karabakh plain of Azerbaijan, situated in the crossing interest of the world superpowers, is about 200 years old. After Azerbaijan's territory was divided into two parts as a result of a war between Russia and Iran, the two powerful states of the region, the Russian emperor decided to strengthen the southern borders where predominantly Muslim population lived. The Tsar decided to settle Armenians in these territories as he considered them the most suitable for the fifth colony. The main reason for using the Armenian factor was to overcome Iran and the Ottoman Empire. In the beginning of the 19th century, Russia began to move about 300,000 Armenians to the Azerbaijani lands to gradually realize own plans. To this very day, the Armenian lobby and state frequently speak of the Great Armenian State, which must be established by annexing the territories of Azerbaijan, Georgia, Turkey, and Iran. Armenians were settled down in Yerevan, Nakhchivan, Zangezur, Dar el-Ayaz, Ordubad, Vedibasar, and in Upper Karabakh. Armenians, using this opportunity, created an illusion to establish from sea to sea Great Armenia. New pages of history were being written for these lands. In the new settlements, Armenians, always feeling the patronage of the Russian Tsar and having been supplied with arms by him, began to commit acts of armed aggression against the local people. Bloodshed heightened in 1905 through 1907, and thousands of Azerbaijanis were killed in Zangezur and Karabakh. The Dashnakshtyun Party, founded to transform the idea of Great Armenia to the national ideology, purposed to capitalize on the fact that Armenians fought in the ranks of the Entente when the World War I started. The Russian Tsar promised to help them with this, but could not do it. The Lenin-Stalin regime, which seized power in 1917, signed a decree to fulfill a plan which would make Armenians happy. But the well-known results of the World War I destroyed the illusion. According to the Brest-Litovsk Treaty, the Russian army had to vacate the occupied eastern Anatolia. But the armed Armenian troops returning with them did not lay down the arms, but began to slaughter peaceful civilians in Anatolia, Zangezur, and Karabakh, and declare their territorial claims once again. This was the time when the winners of the World War I were busy drawing new borders for the region considered to be crucial. Emphasizing the Armenian armed forces' contribution in the victory, Armenians continued with their demand for new territories. The governments of USA, France, and a number of other countries supported them in this matter because the independent republics of the Caucasus were essential for the West in the struggle to prevent spread of Bolshevism in this strategic region. Bestowing the Azerbaijani land of Yerevan to Armenians as their capital city in 1918 was the result of these political maneuvers. Back then, Churchill wrote, "The independent states to be established in the Caucasus will prevent the expected aggression of Bolsheviks against Iran and Turkey." However, the independence of the Caucasus republics did not last long. The Soviet Russia, entering the region with the slogan of fraternity and equality, after a while cut off Zangezur from Azerbaijan and bestowed to Armenia, whose territory was small. However, their dreams of Nagorny Karabakh did not realize then. In the end of 1980s, when the Soviet regime began to collapse, Armenians decided to act upon their intentions and realized the plan of separating Nagorny Karabakh from Azerbaijan with the support of Soviet leadership. First protest slogans, a war of words, gradually transformed into the war of bullets and gunshots. Peaceful Karabakh villages would wake up to sounds from shootings. The Armenians, relying on the Soviet troops positioned in Upper Karabakh, burnt down the villages and drove out the locals from their homes. After the large villages of Karabakh such as Malabeyli and Gushchilar were burnt down and their population scattered, dark days began for Khojaly, one of the biggest settlements in Karabakh. In reality, the intention of those who committed the Khojaly Genocide was a calculated long-term plan. The town, situated at a very strategic point with the population of 4,000 Azerbaijanis, was considered by the people as their backbone and rear area. Armenians, knowing this, decided to seize the very suitable chance and slaughter the people in Khojaly to make the city collapse. They did this also to break people's will and scare those who rose to their feet to defend motherland. Armed Armenians started committing the genocide with the financial support and plan of the Armenian lobby abroad, infamous terrorist organizations like Asala and Dashnak Sutyun. Armenians masterfully used the indifference of influential world organizations to these events. They flagrantly violated the 1961 UN Convention against Genocide and were not afraid to commit genocide against the Azerbaijani people, using the fact that the international community held a position of wait and see. Khojaly, having been surrounded by the enemy for 413 days, was going through the cold winter days of 1992. The town could keep in touch with the outside world only with the help of helicopters. By the end of February, even that became impossible. Armenian armed forces surrounded from all sides the town at night on February the 26th. The day when the death verdict was supposed to be executed. At that time, roughly 3,000 people resided in the town. Khojaly became a real battlefield that night after the shooting started with the support of the Armored Detachment 366 of the Soviet Army located in Khankandi. The town resembled a huge bonfire. That night, Khojaly, which lost its courageous defenders, was on its own. Armenians who walked through the town house by house, gunned down anyone who would come across, tortured people by inconceivable methods. What the Armenians committed could only have one definition: genocide. Armenians shouted that night frequently the slogan, "No Azerbaijani must be left alive in Khojaly." People who managed to escape, having run 10 kilometers in the dark of that night, were trying to find refuge in the neighboring Agdam. Alas, those people were unaware of the Armenian ambush. Armenians who were waiting for them at midnight spared none. Armenians were bayoneting pregnant women, killing babies, scalped people and punctured eyes live. Brutality, brutality. Such brutality has never happened in the world. They came and first killed people in the private houses, then slaughtered those hiding in the basements of high-rises. They bayoneted the heads, punctured eyes live, slashed the heads of sons before the eyes of mothers.
Сейчас, когда вертолет будем нести, я сниму.
613 people, altogether 106 women, 63 children, and 79 old people died in Khojaly Genocide committed by Armenians. In the result of this genocide, tens of families totally disappeared and hundreds of children lost both parents. 1,275 peaceful civilians were taken hostage, about 150 of whom there is still no information. Thus, the town called Khojaly disappeared from the map of the world. Bloody walls screaming for justice were left in the place where the town once was.